Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and today we will conclude with the chapter of Hilchas Kibbud Avayim, the laws of honoring one's father and mother. And he ends with a beautiful insight, something for all children to think about. Mishu roitze be'emes lechabed es avi ve'es imo, someone who truly wants to honor his father and mother. Yasoig ba'toiru v'maisim toivim, they should engage in studying Torah and perform maisim tovim, good deeds and mitzvahs. Shezehu hakavod hagadol ha'avos, because this is the greatest honor that you can give to your parents. Sho'imrim abrios, because when people will see the children of these parents living in such a way, they will say, Ashrei la'av va'im shegilu bein kazeh. Fortunate is the father and the mother who raised a child like this. However, if the son or the daughter doesn't go in the derech hayashar, the straight path of Torah, the parents, they will be disgraced as a result of that. And it's a shame and a humiliation which is too great. It's greater than any other embarrassment that a parent could possibly withstand. So to a father who wants to have real mercy on his children, he should also be involved in learning Torah and doing mitzvahs and good deeds. And he should be someone that's pleasing to the heavens and pleasing to man around him. And as a result of that, his children then will be honored through the father and through the mother. When the father and the mother are upstanding citizens of the Jewish world, of the Torah world, and they act in accordance with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, and they have a very good shame, a very good name in the community, and people mechabed them, honor them for their efforts of upholding HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory. So the children become honored as well. But if you have a parent who doesn't go on the straight path, they're very lax in their mitzvahs, they're not careful with what they do, they're known to speak Lashon Hara, we don't see them in shul all the time, they're not so careful in their learning and their davening and the like. We know many other things that they do where we don't see the growth that we would expect to see from an adult, a mature adult in Yiddishkeit. So Gam Zara Meguna Acharav, their children are going to be disgraced as a result of the parents' inability to perform the mitzvahs and learn Torah the way that they could. And we know, as Chazal teach us, that because of the sins of the father, children and the parents' children will die. Like it says in the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu recalls the iniquity of the parents upon the children. There's no greater cruelty than this. The cruelty of being a parent who sins and causes suffering and consequences to their children. Because of the sins of the parents, it's possible to cause the death of their children. However, there's no one who has greater mercy on his children than the tzaddik, than the person of righteousness. The schos of the righteous will endure for 1,000 generations. And therefore, when you are a tzaddik and when you live your life the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to, it passes down from you to your children, and 1,000 generations will benefit from your tzidkus, from your righteousness. So our children have an obligation to be mechabed us. We have an obligation to be mechabed Hashem, and by being mechabed Hashem, it brings kavod, brings honor and respect and glory to our family as well. We have to work together as a family unit to be mekadesh Shem Shemaim, to bring the holiness and the sanctity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name and glory to this world. And he concludes, Ger, also the Kalil Oviv Hagoy, a convert, someone who was not Jewish and they converted to Judaism, he is not allowed to curse his biological parents who are not Jewish. Nor is he allowed to shame them or demean them or to embarrass them. He still has an obligation. These are the people, although they might not be Jewish, because he now is Jewish, Nevertheless, they are the ones who brought him into this world, and for that you have to have hakaras hatoiv. For that you have to have gratitude. And somehow these two people, they were zeicher to have a neshama that was a Yiddish neshama trapped inside the body of the non-Jew, and it wanted to become a Yid, and it became a Jew right now. So there's a level of hakaras hatoiv, of gratitude you have to have, even though that they're not Jewish, and therefore you can't curse them, and you're not allowed to shame them or demean them. Shelo yoimru, because if you do that, people will say, Banu migdusha chamura lekidusha kala. The converts, we don't want converts to say that we came from strict sanctity and we came to lesser sanctity, which means that over here that we say that if the convert will think that it's okay to shame his original parents, so that will mean then that the Torah is saying it's okay to embarrass people, it's okay to shame people. When I was a goy, so when I was not Jewish, so I would never do such a thing to my parents. But now that I'm a Yid, so I could do such things. That would be a terrible chil Hashem. The way that you treated your parents before, you have to treat your parents now. And if you didn't have any covet for them when you weren't Jewish, alachas kama v'kama, the more so you have to show what it means to be a Jew, upstanding, a man, shabal midos, and you have to treat them in the right way. Miktsas covered, rather, you have to treat them with some measure of honor, some measure of covered, to make sure that you don't disgrace them and you don't let them think that just because you became a Jew, therefore you turn off the entire world that you came from. Chalila, a person can't do such a thing, has to be done with great chachma, great wisdom, great sensitivity and understanding. Now that you're a Jew, of course your life is totally different and you want to live. You want to answer to a higher authority. That means perhaps being too friendly and too close to the parents that aren't Jewish is not going to be healthy for you nor for your children. Nevertheless, they still deserve respect and honor. I'll just leave out with a beautiful ma'aseh. Many years ago, I met a family. The father was a ger from the Philippines, I believe. And his wife was an American woman. And they were a very cute couple, and they had a beautiful family. And they raised the Torah family. And the husband, who was from the Philippines, his parents were getting old. And as they were getting older, they said to their son, we haven't seen you in such a long time. We can't come to America. We'd like you to come visit us. And we'd love to meet your wife as well. They were already a little bit older, the husband and the wife was not 100% healthy, and it was hard for her to travel, but they went to the Rav, I forget which Rav, somewhere in New York. They went to their Rav, and they told him what the request of the parents was, and he said, you have an obligation of hakaras hatoiv to your parents. They're the ones who brought you into this world. He says you should do everything within your abilities to go and take a trip to the Philippines and give them some nachas. And sure enough, this husband and wife, and again, as I said, the wife was not healthy. It was very hard for her to travel. They traveled all the way to the Philippines. I forget, it was a week, 2 weeks they spent over there, and they gave nachas to the people that brought this man into the world and allowed him to have a life where he found his way to Yiddishkeit and Judaism. Very beautiful story. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a wonderful day, and we look forward to continuing our learning of halacha next week. All the best.